Hi everyone, my name is Anna, and today I'll be sharing with you an experience I had about a month ago. I feel it's important to share this because this was a bend on the road of my life that caused a lot of pain and confusion, but it also caused me to refocus, assess my life again, and reprioritize my values and goals. We are brought up to think that not sharing our feelings is the right thing to do. It keeps our privacy, it keeps the image of a perfect life to others intact. However, I feel that's the wrong way to go. Not sharing keeps us isolated and feeling alone. We then think that our experiences are somehow only happening to us because we are somehow flawed and we made a mistake that caused us to experience pain. I believe it's important to share experiences because, first, it releases the energy stored with that experience, and second, it humanizes us. Sharing the good, the bad, and even the ugly allows for belonging and vulnerability. We are not meant for isolation. Sharing with you right now makes me feel extremely vulnerable and exposed. But it is here in this zone of exposure that it allows me to grow into my soul purpose. I am allowing life to happen, and this is where it's leading me. Before I go on, I want to give you a little bit about my background. I am married to a wonderful, wonderful man. I'm a mother of two girls and one boy. In my early 20s, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and it changed my life completely. I will go into that experience in future podcasts. I'm also a medium. I speak to spirits, I communicate with them, I could see them, I could hear them. In the past years, I've been committed to developing this mediumship. I also have been searching and researching and digging within myself to understand more about myself and my purpose. I believe we all have purposes or soul missions. So I am on a mission to find my mission. But in this podcast, I want to speak to you about losing my dog. My dog, Murphy Jones, passed away about a month ago. He was 7 years old. I've experienced losing a pet before, but for some reason, losing Murphy really hurt. Murphy was a healthy dog. The night before he passed, he was running around with my son like a crazy dog. That following morning, he woke up not feeling well, just a bit off. I thought he had the stomach bug because I found vomit in the kitchen, but he wasn't sick. He was still walking around following the morning rush just to get the kids out the door. He then laid on the couch as usual to be out of the way. Nothing unusual. He was still walking around following the kids in the morning as they prepared to go to school. And then he laid on the couch as usual when he got a bit crazy just to be out of everyone's way. When the kids left, I found he had peed on the rug, which that was unusual. He never peed in the house. I told my husband to check on him because he didn't seem like himself. And then I saw my husband carrying him out the door and telling me to grab the keys. We needed to go to the vet right away. Still, death was not what we were expecting. He had his head out the window on the way to the vet. Luckily, the vet took him right away, examined him, and suggested to keep him for a half hour or so, just to run some blood work and x-rays. He didn't seem alarmed. He was just concerned because he noticed that he was off, but he wasn't alarmed. About 30 minutes later, he called me that Murphy was doing fine. He found something in his stomach that showed in the x ray, but he was fine. Long story short, about 2 hours later, he called me to tell me that he went to check on Murphy and Murphy was unresponsive and Murphy was gone. I remember yelling at him on the phone because I didn't understand what he was telling me. What do you mean gone? Like, where the hell did he go? And then I realized what he was saying, and I remember I started crying like a baby. I felt like I couldn't breathe. There were tightness in my chest. I thought I was going to pass out at one point. After I calmed myself, I realized I still had to tell my children. So my husband and I decided to pick up the kids early. Tell them so we all could say goodbye to him at the vet's office. Murphy's death really hurt. Maybe because it was unexpected, or maybe because I really loved him. I adored that dog. And with the pain, anger came rather quickly. I felt so angry at Murphy for leaving me. I was angry at God, and I was angry at my spiritual team for not giving me heads up. I felt that because I was a medium and I was aware of my spirituality. Somehow I was immune to loss. So when Murphy left like that, I was really angry. Since I was a little girl, I always believed in afterlife because I could see and talk to spirits. So for some reason, I felt because I had that connection, I was immune to loss. Almost as if I had a connection with the boss, so I was good. So you can only imagine how betrayed I felt when Murphy was gone. I really adored that dog. I would stare at him just because I thought he was the perfect looking dog. He was loving. He was just a perfect dog. I felt safe with him. My husband is a fire captain and he works 24 hours straight. So when my husband would leave for work, Murphy would step in as the alpha and really make sure that we were protected. No one would come near our house when Murphy was around. Murphy was also what we call a Velcro dog, which means it's a dog that's always touching you. Like Murphy would always have to be touching you. Like we'd always feel his body warm. If we were walking, he was touching your leg. If you were sitting, he was sitting on top of you. He was always there. I used to joke around how Murphy didn't understand personal space because Murphy was always in your face. So when he left, that void was huge. For days, I cried nonstop. I cried until my face was actually raw from wiping the tears. I was in a bad place. I was in a pool of grief and sorrow and blame and victimhood. I had questions like, why would you do this to me? I trusted you, you left me. I could not believe how much I felt for the loss of my dog. However, I realized that I wasn't only dealing with the grief of losing my dog, I was also dealing with feelings of being betrayed, feeling alone, feeling like I was lied to about God because my God wouldn't allow me to go through this pain. I felt God was allowing me to drown. I wasn't special anymore. I was like every other human strolling through life. Somehow I felt because I was a medium and I was doing my work to reawaken my spirituality. I was special, and the loss of my dog showed me I was not immune to pain and loss. It was a hard lesson. So, right after that realization, I was having a moment of grief, crying like a baby. And I remember saying out loud, "Where are you? Where are you, God? Where are you, my guide, my spiritual family? You have all left me when I needed you." Then something happened. All of a sudden, there was a silence within me, almost as if the ocean of grief had quieted down. And suddenly, a clear thought came into my mind. The thought was, why are you trying to change the situation by resisting? You can't change it. Allow the situation to happen and allow it to unfold. Stop resisting. I realized that that's exactly what I was doing. I wasn't accepting it. I did not accept what had happened. By resisting the moment, somehow I felt it would change the outcome and my Murphy would come back. At that moment, I allowed it to happen, almost as if the waves of grief would swallow me up, and they did. However, instead of falling into despair, I felt lighter. And my heart pressure, the space in my heart was gone, was opened. I felt my heart space release the pressure and open. At the moment, I also realized that the pressure I was feeling, it was because I was closing my heart space. I was closing my heart chakra when I was resisting what had happened. And that was the cause of the pain, the pressure. So when I consciously made the effort to open my heart chakra, I felt better, I felt lighter. But I was still very angry. I had lost pets before and grandparents, but I was very lucky never to experience unexpected loss like this before. My grandparents and pets I had before had passed due to age, so somehow it was easier because it was expected. But this really made me angry. So I reached out to my mediumship mentor, this amazing person helping me develop and fine-tune this gift of being a medium. So I called him and we talked about Murphy's loss and how I felt my spiritual family had left me and how they were not assisting me through this. His response to me was, "Why are you making this all about you?" He told me dogs and cats in general have soul contracts as well, and they come in to help us and they leave to help us. And maybe his leaving had nothing to do with me. Maybe there was another member in the family that needed the lesson of a loss. And I was making this all about me and how I was hurting and how Murphy left me. And maybe it had nothing to do with me. Then he asked me if I had faith, and I replied, of course. He said, well, now you need to hold on to that faith like your life depends on it. You need to trust God and God's plan and allow things to unfold. He's like, your spiritual family and God never left you. You left them. You disconnected when you closed off connections, when you felt betrayed by them. You got to remember you're safe even when grief comes, and open the channels to spirit again and just allow things to happen. It took me a couple days to actually understand what he was saying and to absorb it, to allow it to make sense and eventually it did. I realized the pain I was feeling was for the loss of my dog was actually the love I felt for him. The death of the pain was the death of the love. I really loved him. I knew he was with me, but I missed his physical presence. I felt his presence so deeply at one point that I had to ask him to please leave. Because I could close my eyes and see him, and I would open my eyes and feel the void. So I asked him to leave so I have a chance to heal. I needed to heal for myself and for my family. But this experience really made me second guess everything, like the purpose of life. Like, why are we living when we have to experience pain? What is the purpose of all this? And I also felt thankful. I was thankful in the midst of all this anger, grief, and sorrow. I was thankful that my children were safe, that my children were healthy, and I wasn't hurting for them. I was so thankful, and I thank God for that. I think at one point I must have confused the shit out of God with all my millions of emotions all at once. So allowing this experience really showed me how fragile life is, how things could change in the blink of an eye. How I woke up that day thinking it would be an ordinary day, and I ended that day without my amazing and precious dog. He also highlighted how I have been sitting around wanting to do things but not doing it because of nonsense reasons. It made me think of, why am I not taking more chances when life could change so quickly? So I want to start taking more chances, and that's why I'm starting this podcast. So I tell you, take the chance. Start taking chances. If there's only one thing you take from this, is take the chance. Leap into whatever you love to do. What is it that you do that makes you forget about time? Follow that. That is your purpose. That is your mission. Don't take that lightly. Do what you love. I promise you, if you start doing what you love, even if it's for 30 minutes a day, your life will change. My intentions is to help see life in a different perspective. I have a unique view on life, and I think it's because of my mediumship or just the crazy events that's happened in my life. But I want to be able to share that with you. I want to give you a bird's eye view on things, a peek into the background. You know, when I do readings and I communicate with spirits that have passed, I have never had a spirit tell me how they wish they worked harder or that the rushing of life was worth it. What I get is usually, I'm sorry I didn't show you I loved you. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. And for me, that really puts things into perspective, because it's, why are we not loving more while we're here? Why aren't we doing the things we love with the people we love while we can? One last thing I want to share is that tomorrow is not guaranteed. You know, when my dog passed, I put a blanket on him. He is a skinny dog and always cold. I'm in New Jersey. February is cold. He was laying on the couch and I thought he looked really cute. I was going to get my phone and take a picture of him. And then I didn't feel like getting up. And I said to myself, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll put a blanket on him tomorrow and take a picture tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. And this is where I'm going to end this podcast. So go out there today and take a chance, even if it's trying a different type of coffee or taking a different route home. Start small, but you need to start somewhere. Thank you all for listening. Take what you need, leave the rest. Thank you, everyone, again, and much, much love.